So, welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success stories series of interviews, where we discuss with local business leaders their backgrounds, their successes, their challenges, and what's really driving them forwards. And this morning, I'm delighted to have with us Peter Taylor, who's founder and managing director at Nidhoggr Mead Company. Excuse my slight mispronunciation. But Peter, thank you for coming on board this morning. Really delight to have you here. If you'd like to introduce yourself and your business is, because you're also MD of Honey Thief, I believe, that
That's
would be
right.
great to crack on.
Yeah, so my name's Peter Taylor, and as Chris mentioned, I own Nidhoggr Mead Co. And Honey Thief. So Nidhoggr Mead Co. I started about 4 years ago, and we are the largest producer of mead in the UK now. I have 20 staff. I have a 12,000 square foot factory. We have 11 international medals. I've won Food and Drink Startup 2 years in a row. I am Armed Forces Veteran Entrepreneur of the Year. We've got 6 Great Taste Awards. So yeah, it's going pretty well. We
Wow.
all started in my back bedroom. And this is 4 years later, so we're not doing too bad. And then Honey Thief is our brand new company, and we started that or launched that, should I say, about 6 weeks ago.
Yep.
Um, and it's basically a spin-off from Nidhoggr. So Nidhoggr makes mead, Honey Thief makes hard honey. They're exactly the same product.
Okay.
We've just rebranded it and renamed it. We did a load of consumer research into it, and it turns out that lots of people want to drink alcoholic honey. They just don't want you to call it mead.
Okay.
So, I mean, we can go into that in a lot more detail,
Yeah.
and I'll explain all of the research behind it. But that's why Honey Thief was born. So, Honey Thief, yeah, launched about 6 weeks ago, and makes exactly the same product. It just has a different label.
Cool. Great point. Let's look at a brand that fits the marketplace and what people want.
That's it.
So, I mean, you mentioned a little bit about your background with regard to the Armed Forces Award, but if you perhaps just start with a little bit about your background, how you into business and why this particular one for you, and obviously with quite a lot to talk about.
Yeah, yeah. So, I well, I have severe ADHD, so combined type ADHD. So when I was a kid, I was very naughty. I got kicked out of a couple of schools, and at 18 years old, didn't really know what to do. So I decided that's it. I'll go and join the army. So I joined the army and specialised in bomb disposal. And was a bomb disposal technician. Upon leaving the army after my medical discharge, I got into sales. And I did sales for a long time. Started off at Vodafone and then worked my way through to selling apps, to then selling software, to then selling office fit out, to then selling drones, to the military and the police, etc.
Yep.
And whilst doing this, I was a reenactor. So I dress up at the weekends as a Viking and beat the living daylights out of people with a sword, as a bit of fun and a bit of sport. Um, whilst doing this, I met my wife. I killed her dad at the Battle of Stamford Bridge. Came off, had a bit of a laugh and a joke with him, and met his daughter, who I'm now happily married to. And whilst we were reenacting, obviously mead is a big part of Viking culture,
Yep.
Viking history.
Yep.
And a lot of the mead that I was buying was crap. To put no finer point on it, it was awful. It was very sugary, didn't taste great, it was cheap. And
Yep.
I was like, well, surely the Vikings didn't drink it like this. I'm sure I can make it. So my mother-in-law, who's been a Viking reenactor for well, she's Saxon actually, because in case she watches this, I better not say she was a Viking. She's a Saxon reenactor. So about 20 years, she has made mead and she showed me the process. And because of my ADHD, I got hyper focused on it, and then we hit lockdown. So I had nothing to do except make mead. So I made lots of it, and lots of it. In fact, we had 40 something demijohns in the living room at one point. And then in between the two lockdowns, we did a little Viking show at Merton Park on the outskirts of York. And the Jorvik Centre came along, and
Yep.
they tried it, and they said, "Oh, do you sell this?" And I said, "No." And they said, "Well, if you do, we'll buy it." So I went home and said to the wife, "Oh, it'll be a small side project." And she said, "Well, as long as it's a small side project, that's fine." She came home and I'd sold the back bed, sold the dining table, and I turned our entire house into a working factory for 8 months. I worked 3 jobs for 6 months to get it off the ground. I used to sleep about 3 hours a night in between doing everything. And then we built it up and we built it up. And yeah, we went from that to having a small studio where we would ferment the mead and then we would drive it from Skelton back to my house in Acomb with these buckets of mead sort of bobbing around in the back of my car, and then do the processing at home. So we had nowhere in the house that you could sit. The sofa was covered in boxes. The floor was covered in cardboard. We lived off takeaway and ready meals because the kitchen was a processing centre. You had to
Brilliant.
move the honey out of the bath so you could have a shower. The only place that didn't have mead was our bedroom because that was banned. I think the dog might still be sticky, but we've now moved out of the house. And from there, it progressed and progressed. So the main way we built the business was obviously once lockdowns had finished, we got a lot more outdoor events here in the UK,
Yeah.
and we really doubled down on that. So I didn't take any money from the company, or barely any money from the company. We ploughed it all back into
Yeah.
getting staff and attending more events, more markets, and we reached a point which we're doing now, sort of 3, 4 a weekend, every weekend all over the country, whether that's reenactments, Comic Cons, food and drink festivals, or as soon will be Christmas markets.
Yes.
And that's how we built it. And from there, we got bigger as a company, and we started doing more wholesale. So we supply places like the National Trust, the Historic Environment Scotland, the Orvic Centre, boutique shops, bars, restaurants, etc. But our biggest point at the moment is export. So we
Right.
export to the USA and Europe, predominantly the USA. And so far in 12 months, we've done over 1 million to them.
Wow.
Next year, we're looking at £6 million to the US.
Wow.
We export an awful lot. We work with Renaissance fairs over in the US, which are these big, like we have
Yes.
reenactments over there. Here, they have big Renaissance fairs over there that last for 8, 9 weeks. But where we might get 5,000 people over a weekend, they have 400,000 people over 8 weekends.
Wow.
The scales of economy are just out
Yep.
of this world.
Yeah.
A single deal to one Renaissance fair is around £150,000 as a single deal, which is huge for us. Um, so Nidhoggr started getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then I went on Dragon's Den. So I was on Dragon's Den not last year, the year before.
Yep.
Oh, actually, no. Yeah, so it aired last year. I filmed it the year before.
Yep.
So I was on Dragon's Den and in the den, and obviously I come out and I got my friends doing a big Viking fight in front of the dragons, and I'm wearing this Mjolnir, and they're all like, "This is so weird." And Stephen Bartlett actually said to me, he said, "Do you really think people are going to pick this up off a supermarket shelf?" And of course, in the den, I was like, yes, I'm right. They are. And they do, don't get me wrong. Last year we did £1.4 million worth of business.
Yes.
People buy it. It's not that people don't. But we would never, there's a ceiling
Yeah. Yeah.
to people buying mead.
Yep.
So we thought about this and I'm always wanted to try and take advice where possible. So we did a consumer research project and got a load of commercial data. And it turns out that people do want to drink alcoholic honey, but they don't want to drink mead. Hence Honey Thief. So Honey Thief has been
Brilliant.
built from the ground up using data.
Yep.
And within our 6 weeks of launch, we've just got it into Ocado. We're in talks with Waitrose, and we've got it into Total Wine in America within 6 weeks,
Wow.
because the brand works and
Yep.
fits. Because, yes, turns out, in case he watches this, thank you, Stephen, you were right. And that's why we've created Honey Thief. So,
Brilliant.
yeah, it's all been a bit of a crazy ride, really,
Brilliant.
from the back bedroom to the boardroom as it is now, because we now have angel investment as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
back bedroom boardroom in 4 years.
My goodness, what a story. What a whirlwind, and what a marketplace. I mean, I'm sort of familiar with the US having lots of different sort of, what's the right word? Because the Comic Con type stuff, the
Yeah.
different things. But that's in fact one of my old schoolmates lives over the States, and I think he does 2 or 3 different types of those things. But that's a hell of a marketplace, isn't it? Just very, very. It sounds very, very niche.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at doing, well, we're in talks to do 19 Renaissance fairs next year, and stock 19 of them. So that in itself would be big business. But we just got, as I said, Honey Thief into Total Wine. So Total Wine is the largest independent retailer of alcohol in the US.
Yep,
They have
amazing.
270 something shops. And we've just been given 5 states for Honey Thief. For Honey Thief, we not only do our mead in 15% or hard honey in 15%,
Yep,
we also do it 5% sparkling in a can. So it's
okay.
like a seltzer, like a cider.
Yep,
And obviously the Americans have hard everything. So hard Mr. Pibb, hard hard everything basically. That's how they
yep.
describe alcohol. Hard seltzer is
Yes,
obviously,
hard, so hard liquor type.
alcoholic water, basically.
Yep,
So that's how they describe it. So it really fits with that American market. And
brilliant.
over here in the UK as well, obviously just getting it into Ocado, um, it's resonating with people. We did a deep dive because our main targets are Waitrose, M&S, and Ocado, and we did a deep dive into their clientele
Yep,
and put the brand in front of them, put the product in front of shoppers of these stores, and 87% of people said that they would purchase Honey Thief,
yep,
which was great. But it just goes to show because we tried it with Nidhoggr and nobody, well, not
yep,
nobody, but an awful lot less, let's say, were interested in purchasing it.
yep.
But that's the power of branding and marketing at the end of the day.
100%. 100%. Yeah, it's fitting the right brand for the right marketplace, isn't it? And
Yeah,
clearly, Nidhoggr meets a certain marketplace brilliantly. But also, then if you want to go a different one, then it's look at it from as you say, from the bottom up, go from the data
yeah,
up, and
that's it.
fit what makes amazing. I mean, what a journey so far. Now, I'm guessing there's plenty more to come. Um,
I hope so. I hope so. Yes,
I've
I'd
no
like to
doubt.
keep growing and making money, and then the idea is to obviously exit.
Yeah.
So that's the end goal.
If you don't mind, slightly off topic, but you mentioned that you joined the army a lot. Quite a few people don't know what to do. They join the army, but joining bomb disposal, that is very.
Yeah. So when you join the army, you do what's called the barb test, and this is basically testing your abilities, IQ, and everything else.
Yeah.
And if you get the highest score available in the barb test, they offer you 2 jobs. You can either do bomb disposal or you can become a police officer.
Right.
So I
Okay.
chose bomb disposal.
Right. Okay. Fascinating.
When you do either of those jobs, when you pass your phase 2 training, you automatically become a lance corporal
Right.
because you have to have some form of authority over other people to either tell them to get away from a bomb
Yeah.
or arrest them.
Yes.
So because of that, then you have to have a high score because you've got to have the intelligence, etc., to be able to do what you need to do. When I was in the army, I was actually selected from the ranks to go to Sandhurst and become an officer.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I was medically discharged before that happened. But that was the goal, and I would have quite happily stayed in the army. I love the army,
Yeah.
but here I am now, and I do quite a bit better nowadays than I would have done in the
Yeah.
army. So
Incredible. Incredible. I mean, the thing that came to mind as well is you mentioned ADHD and I was just thinking the sort of attention and bomb disposal just didn't feel right. But
yeah.
forgive me, I don't know enough about
No,
either.
so so
But
so ADHD. The great thing about it is you get hyper focuses.
yes, got you.
So
Yeah.
so and especially within chaos and
Yes.
complete craziness,
Perfect.
I
Yeah.
function quite well, which is I think
Yes.
one of the reasons I've done so well at being an entrepreneur. I mean, if you look at so many other entrepreneurs, they're all, or a lot of them are neurodivergent. It
Yes.
can, it's a big hindrance, but it can also be a big help.
100%. Yeah.
I try now. I mean, I didn't get diagnosed until I was 31. I'm only 34 now. So up until that point, you don't really understand it and you don't really get it, and you kind of think, well, am I just weird or different or naughty as I was when I was a kid? Everyone just says, oh, you're just a naughty kid. And then you look back and you go, well, actually, no, it's because of how my brain works. But then because you know how your brain works and you can look and if you do some research into it, you can understand, okay, well, this is how it is.
Yeah.
You can use it to try and be a
Yes.
superpower. You know, it allows me to talk to anybody and it works exceptionally well for sales and confidence
Yes.
and working well. I can remember all my numbers for my business. I can remember deals, and everything. I can't remember where I put my keys. Can't remember to take my tablets. Occasionally forget to brush my teeth or eat vegetables. But I can give you any detail you want about my
Brilliant.
business.
Fabulous.
So it's kind of a dual-edged sword, really.
Fabulous. No, thank you. I hope you don't mind me asking the question, but it
No,
really
not at all.
fascinating. And it's interesting that idea of ultra focus as you identify, because and I can't think of the reference, but so forgive me, but one of the definitions of sort of performance was result is potential minus interference.
Yeah.
Normally, the head trash interference that we put in place. So the ability to pretty much turn interference to zero by the focus means potential equals result. So
Yeah,
clearly,
I
in
mean,
that,
up until September last year, I worked 7 days a week for 4 years, 100 plus hours a week, every week, without fail. I would
wow,
literally work every day in the office, go home and work in the evenings, and then at the weekends, I would go to events and sell as well. And then in sort of September last year, I was getting pretty burnt out, as you can
yeah,
imagine,
yeah,
from 4 years of doing that. So we decided that we would hire more people now that we got the ability to do so. So yeah, now we're up to 20 staff, permanent full-time staff within the company, and we're just about to do the biggest thing we've ever undertaken as a company, which is Christmas this year. So Christmas last year, we did four big Christmas markets
yeah,
here in the UK that last sort of 5, 6 weeks. So we did York, we did Chester, we did Leeds, and we did Cardiff. And we did just shy of 300,000
yeah,
in the space of 5 weeks, which was great. We would have done more, but for one weekend, they shut down all Christmas markets because we had that massive storm. So
yes,
that lost me a load of money, but that's by the by. This year, we're doing 23 Christmas markets for Nidhoggr. We're doing four for Honey Thief, plus we're doing six individual sort of single weekend ones.
yeah,
We're forecast to do around 1.5 to 2 million in the last 5 weeks of the year.
wow, wow,
So it's a massive undertaking because we don't have enough staff to do it. So we're
yeah,
working with a staffing agency, but working out the logistics, the setup, and making the stock.
yeah,
It is a massive undertaking. But if it goes right, then I'll be a very happy man.
amazing, amazing. What a story! It's interesting you say that. In my first business, mainly because I didn't understand how to grow a business at the time, was I did 100-day weeks for 3 years, and it completely broke me. I'll be perfectly frank.
Yeah,
That's why
it
I do
does.
this
It's
now.
nuts.
Yeah, it
Yeah, I mean, I'm so glad that I don't work weekends now, which is you can find yourself at the weekend going, what do I do? like, like, what? I'm bored now. I've watched an hour of telly. I've played PlayStation for an hour. What else are you meant to do? And so inevitably, I'm on the laptop
This
working.
is this is
Um, but you just yeah. I mean, it's a lot better now, and obviously, I get to spend a lot more time with my
yes.
family, which is kind of the point, really. At the end of the day, there's no point, making all the money in the world if you
The,
don't do anything with it and you don't enjoy it. So
I mean, the answer to the question is, for me, if is usually why I started the business. It's like, why did we start the business? Well, so I could do that. Well, that's what we should be. That if
yeah.
that makes sense.
Well,
And
I
yeah,
started it to have more free time and not be incumbent to anybody else. The problem is I have a lot less free time and now I'm incumbent to 20 people. So
funnily enough, I work with somebody who you may or may not know. I won't mention him online, but I'll chat with that. But I work with somebody when he first started his business. I remember him saying that he started it with a view that he could run it from a laptop and anywhere in the world. That was the
Mhm.
purpose, And when I met him, he was 24/7. He was just like, and it was a brilliant business. Nothing to do with not food and drink at all. But and I went, this is a great business. Oh, we could grow this so well. And all he heard me say, understandably, because I was very, what's the right word, emotionally unintelligent at that point. All he heard me say was, "You're going to work harder," and he couldn't work any harder at the time. He was like doing too much. So it's like, so he said, "Thank you very much, Chris." You know, and luckily, I realised a couple of weeks later, I was pondering about it, why we'd not progressed, and realised that it was because he wanted his time back, not necessarily any more money, and
Yes.
and luckily, sort of quite a few years on, he's now business completely working without him. We've got a great MD in place, and he sent me last year a photo of him in a hammock on a beach in Thailand with a laptop, without asking for it. And it was just beautiful. It was
Lovely.
just like, that made it, sort of thing. And but it's so important, Peter. I find with people I work with that we know why we're doing it, that we have that plan of what our life looks like as a result of doing the things that we do. Because people like, especially like yourself, but most entrepreneurial people, we have to put ourselves through a lot of hardship to get where we choose to be,
Oh
and it's
yeah.
important we
Yeah, and
understand
you know
that.
that's the thing about being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I quite often think it's not necessarily the most intelligent people in the world, or the people that can do stuff. It's the people that just don't quit. That's
Yes.
the that's what makes a good entrepreneur. It's the ability to keep
100%.
getting smacked in the face and keep getting back up.
Absolutely.
Um, the amount of mistakes that I've made throughout our journey and problems where you just say, I just want to give up. I just can't do this anymore. I'm so stressed. I'm so burnt out. I cannot do this. But then you do it. That's what makes a good entrepreneur. It's that
Yeah.
ability to just say, "Go on, I'll just do it one more time, once more. It can't be that bad again. Oh God, hit me again." And then it's like just
Absolutely.
keep coming
Please,
back for it.
please, sir, may I have another?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
exactly that.
Absolutely. No, you're right, and I think at least 50% of the people I speak to talk about persistence being
Mm.
that, consistency and persistence being the big secret to much of success. It's just keeping going, isn't it? And there is well, there's a couple of uh, quotes and sayings that I love, and one is a Japanese proverb which says, uh, "Fall down 7 times, but get up 8."
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think I'm on about 13 or 14 right now, personally. But the principle is very sound, and I think it was another Confucian one, which was, the failure is not the falling down, the failure is in not getting up.
Yeah.
And I think those things are so relevant. Um, so obviously persistence and focus being real key features of your success. What other key learnings do you have about growing a business, Peter?
Um, don't be afraid to make mistakes, risk. I was having a good conversation with another mead maker who's an awful lot smaller than we are. But we were having a conversation, and he was sort of saying, How did you get this big? It seems impossible. Nobody else has done it, and you've industrialized mead. How did
Yes.
you do it? And I was just like, well, I just took risks where most people would say, oh, well,
Yeah,
that seems a bit. I just went, yeah, sod it, let's do it. If it goes wrong, we'll figure it out.
brilliant.
I say yes to everything. That's probably the biggest thing that I do. I say yes and I figure it afterwards.
Yeah,
So if Tesco come to me tomorrow and say we want you to stock every Tesco store, all 3,000 of them or whatever, I'll go, yeah, cool. Can I do that? No. Is my factory big enough? No. Will I make it happen? Yeah. But that's it. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. If you don't take the jump and you don't take the risk, you're not going to get there. And
100%.
to go from zero to, I mean, this year we'll probably do about 2.5 million, and next year we'll probably do about 6 or 8 million, from zero
From
four
zero.
years ago. But that's
Amazing.
because I just say yes. Don't get me wrong, saying yes has got me in trouble an awful lot of times, and has made things go horribly, horribly, horribly wrong. But then you just figure it out again. At the end of the day, you've just got to keep getting back up. You know.
Absolutely. It's interesting. Well, there is. You may, or you're probably out familiar if you've been doing 100-hour weeks. But there was a film with Jim Carrey a few years back called The Yes Man, and
Yes, yes, man.
it's
Yeah.
quite cool. Yeah, it's quite cool, and it's just. But it was interesting. You are that. So our founder Bradley, who's a very successful guy. One of the things he told me many years ago that's always stuck with me, and he believes. I think you're right. He believes he was successful as he is because he's made more mistakes than anybody else he knows, not
Mm.
despite it. It was the willingness to do so, and I think you've highlighted that really strongly. It's like just do it, say yes, take a risk,
Yeah.
make mistakes, all good. That's all part, ultimately, all part of business and its growth. Um, Makes absolute sense. Um, Goodness, I think you're aware we're a business coaching organisation, Peter. I'm keen to know who the best coaches you've worked with, whether that's business, sport, life in general. Who's had the biggest impact on you personally?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, So people I sort of follow and listen to and watch,
Yep,
love him or hate him, Jordan Belfer.
yep,
People either love him or hate him. In fact, I've got the Wolf of Wall Street poster on my wall over there that I look at quite often to remind me to always be selling.
yep,
Um, and then my dad. My dad is an entrepreneur. He started his business when he was 21 years old. He's been running it now for 38, 39 years.
amazing.
And he sort of left the bank when he was younger, and didn't really have many qualifications. So he
Yep,
went to night school at the same time as running a business, at the same time as having two young children, and did it all. So yeah, seeing what he's done, it inspires me to keep going and to keep doing what I'm doing. Um, so yeah, I think yeah,
brilliant.
those couple of people.
Great, 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 great people. And whether it's from them or other people, we sort of mentioned favourite quotes or sayings. You've already highlighted one or two already.
Yeah.
Any other come to mind?
Yeah, I mean, the two that I sort of live by is be uncomfortable now to be comfortable for the rest of your life. Which
Great.
is that whole, yeah, all right, well, I might not get to go to the pub with my mates this week, or because I've got to have a meeting, or I might not be able to go home for tea this evening because I've got a meeting with America and I've got to stay late, or whatever it might be. But eventually, I'm going to exit. That's the
Yeah,
plan. And when I exit, I'll be on a beach in the Caribbean, or I'll be doing my hobbies, or being a reenactor,
brilliant,
or whatever I want, or being an angel investor, or whatever it might be.
brilliant.
Then I've got the world of choices, and that's what building a business,
Yep,
earning money, and utilizing that money gives you. It gives you freedom at the end of the day,
yeah,
freedom to choose and to do what you want.
absolutely,
Um, but to get that, you got to sacrifice now. You got to be uncomfortable. If it was easy, everybody would do it.
100%.
Um, and then the other one is 6 months from now, you will either have 6 months of excuses or 6 months of progress, which is another one of the things that I sort of try and live by. And and I try and instill this in my staff as well. I don't want excuses. All right. If you've got a problem, fine. Tell me there's a problem. We will fix the problem. We'll figure the problem out. Don't give me 2 hours of, well, this is the reason why, and this, 'cause I don't care. Right? It's just a
100%.
load of waffle. I care about problem, solution, end. That's where we want. We don't want problem, 3 hours of excuses, bit more of excuses. He said, she said, it was this, it was that.
Yeah,
It's waffle. Don't care. Problem, solution, end. Done. And that's because you've got to be streamlined and you've got to be agile
yeah,
as a startup and as a young business, even as a big business, although big businesses obviously tend to slow down and become a lot
yeah,
more red tapey. But while we're 20 people, while we're quite nimble, while we're agile, while we're able to do these things and going to use your buzzword, pivot,
yes,
uh, then, if we can do that and we can see an opportunity,
yeah,
then we need to jump on it. But you're
brilliant.
not going to get that if you've got a load of people just waffling saying, "Oh well, I didn't do it because I stubbed my toe 3 years
Yeah,
ago," and you know. So yeah, and they're a couple I work by.
we've got a structure. We have a lot of what we call flip charts because we used to draw by flip charts, basic diagrams and stuff. And the one that comes to mind, the one that's been most valuable to me, is we call it above and below the point of power. So point of
Hmm.
power is a point of decision or action at any point during a day, week, month. It's easy to go below that if there's a challenge, which is blame, excuses, or denial.
Hmm.
But that's victim, as you say, so that's victim thinking, i.e., we'll blame other things, other people, etc. Above the point of power is ownership, accountability, and responsibility.
Yeah.
take ownership for what we do, be accountable for our results, responsible for actions, and it's as a point of culture, it really works in any team to create a culture of success and ownership. I think, which is so key. And it's interesting you mentioned the first phrase. It sounded very Jim. I don't know if this is a phrase, Jim Ronian. If you're familiar with Jim Rohn, I remember him saying, I thought it was really relevant, very similar, but he said the reward, right, the reward for indiscipline is immediate. I could not go to the meeting. I could go home. I could watch
Yeah.
TV. I could do things. It's immediate. The reward for discipline is in the future, but it's many times
Yeah.
it's manyfold. And it was that idea that yeah, I'm giving up something now to get many times return, but in the future. And
Which for somebody with ADHD, not having instant gratification is
right.
very difficult.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So we thrive off dopamine, and dopamine is that instant hit
Yes.
of getting instant gratification. So
Wow.
it's to be disciplined and to do not get that. Oh well, sod it. I'm going to go and have that. Pint with my mates down the pub,
Yeah.
and to hold to that is very difficult to do. But as you say, you've got to have that mentality of yeah, but in 5 years' time, I'll be turning up to the pub in my Bentley,
Yeah.
or whatever other goals you want to set for yourself. But you've got to, but and the thing I've found as well is so it's delaying that gratification, but I give myself a target, and then
Yeah.
I give myself a little bit of a treat, like a nice treat. So
Yes.
it's if we do well at Christmas, I'm going on holiday, right?
Yeah.
And that's
Brilliant.
that's it, and we're off for a very nice holiday, but I've got to get there. So I've set the target, I'll get there. But if and what I found I was doing before was I was setting the target, I was reaching the target and I was doing well, but then I wasn't giving myself the reward
Yes.
because I'd be like, oh, I'll go on to the next one, I'll go on to the next one.
Yeah.
But then because of that, I wasn't getting any form of gratification. So then I started to burn out more. But now I go, right, well, this is the target. If I hit it, I get
Brilliant.
this. I actually give myself that, it works a lot better.
Yeah, perfect. I was going to ask how you've managed to do that, and it makes sense. It's along the line. We often say, and this is more general, but it's still. I think it's true of entrepreneurial people. The challenge of entrepreneurial people in general is we don't celebrate that much. We're more looking at what we haven't achieved yet rather than what we have,
Yeah.
if that
Yeah.
makes sense. So it's a big thing we do when we get our clients together is that we do have one of the sections of the sort of 90-day planning sessions we do is celebrate. Right, let's just at tables tell people what some of the achievements you've celebrated this week and this year, this quarter, and people go, oh, that's amazing, you did that, and it just because for me, if we don't celebration is part of creating that resilience,
Yeah.
because if we ask us that question, why the hell am I doing it? If we don't have an answer, it becomes very hard.
Yeah.
So if you have an answer because of this, because of that, but I agree with you. I'm very similar. I do things as points in time. So for every client we achieve, every milestone we hit, there is a celebration in the short term with it that leads us to the long term. Perfect.
Yeah.
And you mentioned two or three people already, but do you have any favourite books or podcasts on business or success that you can recommend? Are you a
Oh.
Diary of the CEO guy? I'm just wondering.
Um,
Um,
used to be. It went a little bit downhill. But the early some of the stuff on the Diary of the CEO is
yes.
pretty good. When you've got the crazy CIA lady talking and the the weird things that go on in the darkest corners of that, maybe
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
But some of it's very good. All the Jordan Belfort stuff is great. 60 Second Salesman, also a great book. There's a few out there. So Daniel Priestley's stuff is also really good. So yeah, I mean, there's a few things that I look at and try and listen to when I have time. Is
Yes.
the problem with it all? Everyone's sorry, you should do some more learning, some more reading. I'm like, I do learning on the job, lots of it. Believe me, there's been 10 problems this morning already. Like, and it's learning through them. But you've always got to learn from them. That's
Yes.
the key. In our
100%.
early days, we would make a mistake, and the same mistake would happen again. And you'd be like, oh, okay. And then it would happen again. And you're like, oh, Christ, what are we doing here? Like, we
Yeah.
should have learned.
Yeah.
But thankfully, we now, as a team, I've got a really good team behind me, and they are
Brilliant.
all work very well, and are really really good. So they
Brilliant.
learn, I learn, we all learn together, and hopefully we'll build this business and keep it going on the trajectory that it's on.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. No doubt about that. That's absolutely brilliant. And we talked in generalities about some of these things, but what specifically would you say you've learned about yourself throughout your journey so far, Peter?
About myself, I can be a real grumpy bastard when I want to be.
That's part of the. I think that comes with the territory too. I have to say.
Yeah, I think it's kind of that resilient side of stuff, and being able to train myself to have discipline. In my youth, I was very tearaway, and I didn't really conform to doing anything and doing this. And I think the great thing about being an entrepreneur for people with ADHD is for ADHD people, we hate stagnation. We hate the same stuff. If you look at my job history prior to this, I probably had 10 jobs in 10 years. I'd move, I'd get bored, I'd be like, oh, they're not paying me enough, or
Yeah.
I'm getting what I want out of it. Boom, I'm off. Obviously, I can't do that because I own this, so I can't run off anywhere. But also, every day is a challenge. Every day is different. Every day is new. So for somebody with ADHD, I'm getting those dopamine hits all the time because it's like, problem, all right, fix that problem, and all the time, which is great.
Yes.
So I
Great. Yeah.
think sort of the resilience, the discipline, and to just give yourself something that fits with your
Yeah.
challenges in life that will actually challenge you.
Yes.
And I don't think there's anything more challenging in life than running a fast growth SME.
No, I have to say no.
No.
I mean, as I say, my period of running, like doing 100-hour weeks, was like the- we went from naught to get this right, naught to 4 million in 2.5 years, and I recruited 50 people in that period in 18 months. Sorry, and
Yeah.
it was just nuts. I mean, it's a similar trajectory to yours. That's why I'm glad to see you've started to get your time back because for me it was certainly for me it was unsustainable. Which actually comes back onto my next question, which I'm quite interested to see your thoughts about it. So, in Action Culture Organisation, our definition of a true business is a commercial,
hmm
profitable enterprise that works without
hmm
its owner or
Yeah.
owners.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I think that's great. And I mean, we achieved last year, as I said, 1.4 turnover with 125 net.
Great,
This year we'll do 2.5 with about 500,000 net. And then
nice,
next year we're doing 6 to 8 with probably about 1.5 to 2 million net.
beauty.
And as of probably the end of next year, I wouldn't need to be in the business.
Great.
I mean, theoretically now, I mean, I come to work, but I'm doing all of the high level stuff. So I'm the one doing the deals with Ocado, Total Wine,
Yep,
Morrison's, Asda, all of these massive Renaissance fairs that we're doing. So, but we're looking at doing 19 Renaissance fairs next year. If we do them, I'll put them into 3-year contracts. Once we've done Christmas this year, obviously I've been involved in all the logistics and the planning and
yeah,
everything for this year. But once we've done it and we know we can do it, the managers know what they're doing. Next year, they can run with that. I won't need to be involved. I'm making sure that although I've got obviously the overarching
yep,
strategic sort of point, they're getting really hands-on and getting involved so that they can do stuff. And next year, I think I have 7 holidays planned, so they better
brilliant,
work because
brilliant.
my wife has said we're going away and we're
That's
having a
it.
break, and you deserve it now. And
Yeah,
we're not going away for it's a long weekend here and a long weekend there, but it's still. I want to be able to go, and the issue that I have obviously is as technology is advanced. My mobile phone has all of my email accounts on it. It has my Shopify login on it. It has my Zero login on it. It has absolutely everything. I have all of the data of the business at my fingertips, which means wherever I am, I can't help but pull my phone out and start checking things. But I want to be able to go on holiday and not do that. So
yes,
I'm going to potentially get one of these. I think the thing that all the people are doing now is get a brick phone, right? Get one of the old Nokia
yep,
3310s.
yep.
So it just calls and texts. So when I'm on holiday, I think I'm just going to get one of those,
Perfect.
and then all I can do is, if the place is burning down, they can call me. But in the meantime, I can't spend
Brilliant.
time. Oh, have we done these Shopify orders today? Have we done this? Because that's the thing that kind of pulls you out of
Yeah.
actually having a break. You never actually have a break. This is the problem. You never
Yeah.
have a break as an entrepreneur ever. You know?
No, you bang on. I was going to say the business coach was about to say, yeah, you only look at it's a choice to look at our emails. It's a choice to look at zero. It's a so yeah. But if we struggle with that, then yes, let's find a different
Yeah,
way. I,
that's
one of
it.
my clients, I'm trying to think, it is just they literally deinstall their apps
Hmm.
on their phone. I mean, I know that probably sounds a bit laborious, deinstall then reinstall, but they literally deinstall the apps on their phone. They take the same phone, but they deinstall literally for the period so that they can't. You're absolutely bang on them. But yeah,
Yeah.
whatever we need to do, if we, in my opinion, if we don't have that downtime and that ability to do it, then even if we're partially connected, I find a lot of people go, "Yeah, I'll just check the emails just in case," but that you're immediately gone from holiday
Yeah.
mode back
Yeah,
into
yeah.
business
No,
mode.
I'm
It's
absolutely awful. I hid in the toilet on my honeymoon with so I could call the business because I'd promised my wife that I wouldn't work. And I used to hide in the toilet so I could
uh,
call the office to find out what was going on my honeymoon. So yes, I am dreadful for it. Absolutely dreadful.
brilliant.
So I'm going to try.
Love it.
Try
Super.
very hard to actually have that degree of separation.
Brilliant.
But
Brilliant.
as we've now grown, as I say, the managers
Yeah.
are great at what they're doing, the staff are great at what they're doing, and I don't need to micromanage people. They can
No.
just get on with it. As long as I do all the overarching stuff and
Yeah.
keep bringing some big deals in,
Yeah.
then we're okay.
Brilliant. Wonderful. So you touched on the future a little bit. What does the future look like for you guys, and what challenges do you think you might face, if any?
Oh, well, there's always challenges. So, I mean, at the moment, we're in the middle of doing our scale up for our factory. So, currently, we produce everything in 23-litre buckets. We have 680 23-litre buckets that allows us to produce about 15,000 litres every 6 to 8 weeks.
Right.
We're just taken on new factory space and new warehouses. So, our new meadery has gone so we've tripled in size basically. So, we've gone from 1,600 square foot meadery to a 4,500 square foot meadery. We've just had all the floor laid and floor drains, and we're having massive fermenting tanks putting in.
Brilliant.
So we're having seven 2,500 liters and four 5,000 liter tanks. It will increase our efficiency because everything will be done via pumps now, and just full IBCs, bowsers of stuff rather than individual bottles. We're going to open them and pour them in to
Yeah.
make the
Cool.
flavors and all that sort of stuff. So we'll be an awful lot more efficient. I mean, to put it into context, at the moment it takes between 8 to 10 minutes to do a 23-liter bucket. It will take us about 45 minutes to do 5,000 liters.
Right. Wow. Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah,
Brilliant. Yeah.
yeah.
That's good.
So a lot more efficient. The main issue that we've got is canning currently.
Right.
So our cans for Honey Thief are working exceptionally well. And at the moment we have to outsource all of our canning because we don't
Right.
have a canning machine. That in itself costs a lot of money, reduces our margins on our cans quite drastically. So we are going to get a canning machine, hopefully in the new year. Once we've done Christmas, we've made all this money. We're going to
Yeah.
invest into getting our own canning line. But that means I need another space because I've run out of space already. So I'm going to need another unit. I'm going to need a canning line. I'm going to need to hire more staff to do the canning side of the business. So the main issue is the scaling up of stuff. I mean, we're doing really well,
Yeah.
but doing really well comes with its own problems.
Yeah.
Getting these deals with Total Wine, getting these deals with Ocado, getting these deals with potentially Waitrose and Whole Foods, they are huge, huge deals that
Yeah.
are worth an awful lot of money, but you've got to be able to fulfill them.
Yeah.
And you've got to have the infrastructure to do so. So it's growing, but it's growing at a sustainable rate and not over trading.
Yeah.
We don't want to reach the point where, oh, somebody hasn't paid the bill. Ah, Christ, that's it, everything's gone. So it's growing at a sustainable rate, but also taking those opportunities when they're arising,
Yeah.
and saying yes. But the figuring out bit's the hard bit, obviously.
Yes. No, makes perfect sense. I'm keen to know what you'd say to anyone that was thinking of going to business right now.
Do it. if you hate yourself, and you don't want to sleep for a long time, it will give you
Brilliant.
the best times of your life, but also the most stressful times of your life. Running a business is great. It's great fun. It's challenging. It's interesting. You learn an awful lot. But going back to what I said previously, you've got to have that resilience. And unless you have a belief that you have some form of resilience, because believe me, it will test you beyond what you think. If you don't think you've got that, don't necessarily jump into it because it breaks a lot of people. It's not easy. And for a lot of people, I've had some friends that say, "Oh, I'm going to start a business." When they've had a few pints down the pub. "Oh, you've done it, Pete. Oh, I can do that." Can you? All right, cool, crack on then. And then they never do it because they realise, oh, well, it's a lot easier for me to get my pay at the end of the month from the company I work for, and
Yeah.
it's nice and easy. But if you want to challenge yourself and you've got that belief in yourself, go for it. Just say yes. And if you've got an idea, why not? The worst that can happen is it goes wrong,
Yeah.
right? And as long as, you've not reached the point that we did, which was my house was on the line and everything else is on the line, which we're not at anymore, but that was that whole risk-taking thing, which is how we grew, because I went, yeah, we're doing this.
Yeah.
So we remortgaged and we spent all of our life savings and absolutely everything. So, if you don't, there are varying degrees of what you can do,
Yes.
with that risk appetite. But, I'd say, yeah, I mean, I've loved it. I wouldn't
Brilliant.
change a day. Even the hardest days that I've had, and they've been very hard, I wouldn't change it at all.
Brilliant. Absolutely love it. And final question, what would be the best advice you could give an 18-year-old you if you could go back in time and do that?
Oh, tell an 18-year-old me. Start a business earlier.
Nice.
I've started a business I started with 30 years old, which, isn't old by any stretch of the imagination, but I kind of think, well, what if I'd have started when I was 25?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And but the thing is, the idea didn't come along, and that you can never,
Uh,
you've got to have a good idea. At the end of the day, there's no
yes.
point starting a business unless you've got a good idea
Yep.
and you can see a gap in the market, you can see a problem, and you can fix or help or fulfill a need or a desire to get rid of that problem. So it wasn't until I'd started drinking lots of shit mead that I decided that I needed to make good mead. Um, and to give
Yes.
you tell you a bit about the name, because you did
Oh,
ask earlier about
I
where
mentioned
the
it.
name comes from, and we'll link it into this. So because I
Yes.
was drinking loads of really crap mead, I started a mead company, a Nidhoggr. Nidhoggr is a dragon from Norse mythology. She is the symbol for outlaws and rebels. So I was
Brilliant.
rebelling against shit mead. There you
Brilliant.
go.
Love it. And it's funny,
If I
and
could
it's
go back and change the name, I would, because it was never meant to get this big, and the amount of people that can't say the bloody name is unbelievable. So I should have called it the York Mead Company or something. That would have been a lot easier to
uh,
say.
it,
But yeah, if I could go back and tell myself before I started the business something, I would tell myself not to use Nidhoggr Mead Co. Choose something else as a name. But it's clearly worked reasonably well.
well, yes, and it's interesting because when you look at the two clear target markets that you're addressing, the where Honey Thief is going to look. I guess if we're talking about people with interest in maybe that sort of Viking mythology, it sort of
Mm.
fits then, doesn't it, in many ways?
Yeah.
So although it's not that easy to pronounce, as you rightly say, it probably fits in terms of that. So brilliant. And Peter, it's been fascinating to talk to you. And congratulations on everything you've achieved because it's not only have you achieving quite amazing things, you've committed body and soul into making it happen. So
Yeah.
absolutely well done. And it'd be great to swing by another 6, 12 months and just see where this next phase is, obviously on your
Yeah, of
development.
course.
But for anyone watching that would like to get in touch with you or either of the companies, what's the best way of doing that?
If you just go on our website, there's a check, contact us box.
Yep,
Fill in a form, drop it through. It'll come through to my team, and they'll pass it on to me. And that's probably the best way. Or you can call us. We have a telephone number which is 0333 121 6323, I believe, because it spells mead.
Brilliant.
Yeah, if you do it on the old text, it spells mead at the end.
Ah, got you.
I yeah, so 6323 spells mead if you type it in.
Love
So
it. Love it. Love it. Absolutely fantastic. Well, look, as I say, thank you so much for your time. And yeah, let's do this again in another 6, 12 months.
no worries at all. That'd be great. Thanks so much for your time, Chris.
Thank you.